We're counting down the 10 U.S. towns where daily life has slipped below what most Americans imagine possible. From deserted neighborhoods with homes under $10,000 to towns facing toxic water, collapsed services, or poverty rates above 40%, each location on this countdown reveals a new layer of decline. Which place ranks as the starkest example? Let's start the journey with number 10. In the 10th place, Gary, Indiana stands as a stark example of what happens when a city built on a single steel industry collapses. Once home to nearly 180,000 residents, Gary's population has plunged to just under 70,000, leaving entire neighborhoods stripped of life. In some areas, houses sell for as little as $1,000 to $8,000, prices that reflect not just economic hardship, but the scale of abandonment. Over 13,000 buildings now sit empty, with city records marking block after block for demolition. The murder rate here is 6 times the national average, a grim consequence of lost jobs and eroded services. After the downfall of U.S. Steel, Gary's tax base vanished, dragging public infrastructure and even the once grand city hall into decay. As former steelworker James Smith put it, "We watched our street die with the mills." Number 9, Bessemer, Alabama, stands as a cautionary tale of industrial decline and municipal strain. Once anchored by steel and iron production, the city now faces a poverty rate near 25% and a median home price of $32,000. Aging infrastructure from the early 1900s still carries water beneath the streets, resulting in more than 100 water main breaks each year. Service cuts have become routine, with 2 fire stations shuttered and emergency response times stretched thin. Public schools struggle with chronic underfunding, and graduation rates hover below 70%. While neighboring Birmingham has seen moments of economic revival, Bessemer's fiscal challenges have left basic services in disrepair. For many residents, daily life means navigating unreliable utilities and reduced public safety, all in the shadow of factories that once promised prosperity. 8th place, Youngstown, Ohio, stands as a symbol of the Rust Belt's collapse. In 1960, Youngstown was a thriving city of 170,000, but the steel mill shutdowns of the late 1970s and early 1980s erased 40,000 jobs almost overnight. Today, the population has dropped to just 60,000, a staggering 65% decline. Abandoned homes and factories now define much of the landscape, with more than 4,500 vacant structures scattered across the city. The land bank demolishes around 500 buildings every year, trying to keep up with the blight. Median home prices linger between $5,000 and $15,000, reflecting not just economic hardship, but the sheer scale of abandonment. With a poverty rate of 35%, the highest in Ohio, Youngstown's scars run deep. As one former mill worker put it, the city died overnight when the mills closed. Number 7, Pritchard, Alabama, reveals the human toll of a city's financial unraveling. In 2009, Pritchard declared bankruptcy and abruptly stopped paying pensions to retired city workers, leaving hundreds scrambling to survive on Social Security alone. To save money, officials ordered all streetlights turned off for 5 years, plunging neighborhoods into darkness and fueling fears of crime. The police force was slashed by 40%, and the fire department now runs with a bare-bones crew. Public libraries and recreation centers remain shuttered, and basic services like garbage collection and pothole repair have become unreliable at best. For retired firefighter Ron Davis, who spent 3 decades protecting his neighbors, the collapse means bartering for groceries and relying on friends to get by. Pritchard stands as a stark warning of what happens when a city's finances fail and services vanish, leaving residents in the shadows. Number 6, Flint, Michigan became a national symbol of environmental disaster after the water crisis in 2014 exposed thousands of children to toxic lead. Once a thriving city of 200,000, Flint's population has fallen to just 81,000 as jobs vanished with the departure of General Motors. Today, homes can be found for as little as $5,000 to $15,000, reflecting deep economic distress. In the wake of the water switch, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention estimates around 12,000 children were exposed to dangerous lead levels, with effects that can last a lifetime. 42% of residents now live below the poverty line, and public trust remains fractured. While federal and state funds have helped replace 97% of lead service lines, thousands of homes still await safe water. Dermona Hannah Atisha warned that lead's effects are lifelong. Flint's crisis is a stark reminder of the cost when infrastructure fails and when public oversight collapses. Number 5. Benton Harbor, Michigan, reveals a stark divide hidden in plain sight. A narrow river separates extreme poverty from affluence, and Benton Harbor has 9,100 residents and a poverty rate of 40%, while across the water in St. Joseph the rate is 8%. Median home prices hover around $18,000, and entire neighborhoods lack access to a full grocery store. In 2013, the state took control of Benton Harbor's struggling schools, citing chronic underperformance and funding shortfalls. Lead contamination in the water supply adds another layer of hardship, with recent tests still finding unsafe levels. Nearby, Whirlpool's global headquarters sits just blocks away, and it benefits from millions in tax incentives. Yet local families say those resources rarely reach them. The contrast is visible at every turn: wealth and opportunity on one side, persistent neglect on the other, divided not by distance, but by a single zip code. Number 4. Helena West, Helena, Arkansas, reveals the silent devastation left behind when mechanized agriculture replaces human labor. In 1970, 15,000 people called this Delta town home. Today, fewer than 10,000 remain. Nearly half live below the poverty line. As the cotton economy collapsed, jobs vanished and Main Street emptied. 70% of storefronts now stand vacant. The crisis deepened in 2018 when the only hospital closed its doors, leaving residents to drive 45 minutes for emergency care. For families facing health emergencies, those lost minutes can be life-altering. Many homes sell for less than $10,000, a stark reflection of the town's decline. With no new industry to fill the gap, infrastructure crumbles and hope feels distant. In Helena West, Helena, the consequences of rural isolation and economic neglect are measured not just in empty buildings, but in lives left waiting for help that may never arrive. Coming to the top 3, Centralia, Pennsylvania, stands as a haunting monument to environmental catastrophe. In 1962, a fire ignited in a coal seam beneath the town, and it has never been extinguished. The blaze still burns underground, sending ground temperatures to 900 degrees Fahrenheit and releasing columns of toxic gas through cracked pavement and steaming sinkholes. What was once a thriving community of 2,700 has dwindled to just 5 residents. Their homes are surrounded by condemned lots and empty streets. Most houses were bought out for under $10,000 as part of a government relocation effort, but a handful of holdouts refused to leave, arguing their health remains intact despite state warnings. In 2002, Centralia's zip code was revoked, erasing it from postal maps. The fire is projected to burn for another 2 centuries, leaving behind a ghost town where the land itself has become uninhabitable. In second place, Immokalee, Florida, stands as a stark contradiction to the wealth of its surroundings. Here, nearly half the population lives below the poverty line, while homes in nearby Naples fetch over $1 million. In Immokalee, farmworker families crowd into converted trailers and shacks, with home prices ranging from $15,000 to $30,000. Many of these dwellings lack basic plumbing, forcing residents to rely on outhouses and makeshift sanitation, a reality confirmed by housing audits showing as many as 20 people sharing a single toilet. The absence of a proper sewage system in large sections of the community has led to chronic health risks, even as luxury golf courses and gated communities flourish just 30 miles away. The Coalition of Immokalee Workers has documented these conditions for years, fighting for repairs and dignity in a place where the American dream remains out of reach for thousands. And finally, in first place, McDowell County, West Virginia, stands as the starkest example of American decline. Here, the collapse of coal mining left behind not only economic devastation, but a public health crisis with few parallels in the nation. In Welch, the county seat, homes change hands for as little as $8,000 to $12,000, reflecting a market hollowed by outmigration and neglect. 37% of residents live below the poverty line, and the median household income barely reaches $23,000. Life expectancy has plummeted to just 64 years, 15 years below the national average, driven by chronic illness, environmental fallout, and an opioid overdose rate 10 times the national figure. For many, even basic needs are out of reach. Full-service grocery stores have vanished from most towns, leaving food deserts and forcing families to rely on mobile pantries. Decaying roads from the 1950s often wash out, isolating entire communities for days. Volunteers like Shirley Brown have stepped in to deliver food and medicine where public services have failed. But the scale of abandonment is overwhelming. McDowell County's story is not just one of poverty, but of a region left behind by policy, industry, and time. A place where the American promise feels impossibly distant. Across all 10 towns, the pattern is clear. When industry dies and public investment disappears, entire communities slip into poverty and neglect that rivals anywhere in the world. These places remind us, collapse isn't distant or foreign. It's happening now, in America's own backyard. What surprised you most?